Hello everyone, welcome to another video. It's winter here in Australia now, so it's actually been very cold, and I've had a bit of a cold and COVID and all that fun stuff. So if my voice breaks up a bit, guys, I apologise for that, but I'm still recovering from everything at the moment. Today I'd like to do a video on pals and gals. They're basically like a logic chip that a lot of arcade games have, and they are usually quite critical for the board to work. They contain basically, there's two types. There's a lot of them you can only program them once and that's it. And then you've got ones that are either EEPROM or flash based inside, so that you can raise them and program them multiple times. Basically, they're just a little logic chip, basically. So you could say maybe sort of like the forerunner to like an FPGA, but like a really small one. So you've got two of the main types of PALs and GALs. PALs are meant to stand for Programmable Array Logic, and GALs are meant to stand for Generic Array Logic. I've heard different names, but that's what Wikipedia says, so I'll just go on what Wikipedia says, and that will do for now. Now, basically what they do, they can be found on, most arcade boards do have them. It just makes it a lot easier. Instead of using a whole heap of discrete chips, TTL, etc., you can program the logic into one of these chips, and then it'll do it for you. So they're very common. Now, unfortunately, inside each of these little guys is what's called a security bit. Now, you can program these guys, and when they're programmed, you can set the security bit to either on or off. If it's on, which is most of the time it's normally on, it's very rare you'll find an arcade board that has one of these that's open. When it's set to on, it means you can't just unplug your chip, chuck it in here to an EEPROM programmer, dump it, and then, make a new one or whatever you want to do. When you go to dump it, it won't work. You'll either get just all zeros, or it just doesn't work. You can't get the code out of it. So, since they are important to most arcade boards, there's heaps of them in the PGM systems, mainly in the game carts. I think there's like 3 or 4 normally. Now, if they go faulty, usually the cart stops working. Okay, it's pretty simple like that. Now what happens? Well, obviously they're faulty, so you can't try to dump them anyway, but you could go and try and dump another chip from the same cart, and they're always locked, so that's not going to work. So now we come into what's called a brute force dumper for pals and gals. Now these little guys here are a little simple. Well, actually there's 2 of them here. This guy's the original one, so this is the first one that I've been working with. This has everything's documented. It has software to process what you dump, whereas this guy doesn't have the software yet. The PCB's been made, obviously, so that's all good, but just doesn't have the processing software yet. I'm hoping that will get done eventually, so I'm not too worried about that. Obviously, if you put them side by side, you can see this guy takes the larger chips, and this one's the smaller ones. So there are limits, obviously, to what you can dump, but most chips are brute forceable, and they will actually dump. So once you get the device, you obviously put the PAL in here. These are little ZIF sockets, so you can just chuck it in there, and then chuck that into your EEPROM programmer, and then you dump it as if it's an EEPROM. This little guy here, you dump as a 27C020, which is a very common chip. So just chuck it in, dump it, and that will produce a file. Now that file uses some clever software, and the clever software will grab that file and it will process it, and then it will spit out a logic, basically a logic truth table of what each of these pins were doing. Because when you put it in here, the only way to brute force it is you have to test every single combination on every single pin that it could have, and then record that. Now, when you dump it as if it is an EEPROM or a flash chip, whatever you want to call it, like it does that. It drives every single pin and it records what they do. So that's why you have to have a brute force dumper, because it has to whack the chip with absolutely every combination it could have in a brute force type manner, and then it spits out a logic big file. But yeah, you do need processing software, which this guy here has. I think it's Charles McDonald is the one who was based off this, if I'm right. And he's written the software, he's written everything. I'll post the link to this guy in the description once I've uploaded this video. So yeah, so it creates, and then you get a logic table, and then from that logic table you can convert that, I think, in there's a couple of different programs you can do it with. But basically what ends up happening is, once the whole process is done, you end up with a file that you can program into one of these chips, and then you can put that in your board, and then that chip should actually do exactly the same thing as what the first chip did that you were dumping. So it means that if someone has a faulty Gal-Pal on their board, that if someone has a working board, they could use something like this, or send the chip to this person if he has one of these, or one of these, depending on which one you want to do, and you can create a replacement that should fix the board if the PAL-Gal is the thing that's actually faulty. So that's why we have these. So as you can see, I've got two here that I've built. So this is what I call number one. This is number two. Now these are two more. Obviously, as you can see, I've got the PCBs. Obviously, I haven't populated them yet. These are standalone dumpers. So these two guys do not need an EEPROM programmer. Okay, so these will be advantage to people who don't have an EEPROM programmer but would still like to do PAL or GAL dumping. So this is an 18 mega based board, and then this one here, this is you put a, where is it? Whoops, around the wrong way. You put a Raspberry Pi in here, and it uses that. So these two, obviously, I haven't built them yet, but I hope to, and then I can test them out and do other stuff as well. I'm hoping that these boards will do more chips than what these two little guys here do. That would be really, really handy, but I need to build them and test them and, see what they do. This guy I have actually tested and dumped stuff with, and it works really, really well. On the project page, it says that the early Wellon programmers, not the one I've got here, the ones before this, don't work with these. But I've got the VP798, that's this one, and this guy works with it. So obviously they must have changed something at some stage, because it works with this, and I've done it, and everybody's happy with that. So I am getting more of these PCBs made, so I'm getting more of these two, and then the two little guys, these two little guys, boards done as well. So if you're interested in dumping PAL-Gals, especially if you have a lot of them, or you want to, dump them so that the community has access to them. So if they have boards that go faulty, they can, just download the file and then, make their own. Get in contact with me. On my Discord server, I've got a channel just for the PAL-Gal dumping. So if you want to leave your name in there, if you're interested. I'm getting more PCBs made as we speak. They've just come out of production and should be on their way here probably the next couple of weeks. I'm getting 10 sets of each, and what I plan to do is I'll send you, if you're keen, I'll send you obviously these two of these two, and then two of these two. I've got a couple of people who want them. So I've still got stock, so if you're interested, especially if you have a lot of boards, or you work in the industry and you want to be able to help to dump them so that they're available for more people, that would be really, really cool. What I'm going to do is once I have this guy, so the second one, and then these two done, I'm going to go through every single PGM cart that I have, and the single PCB versions as well, and then dump all the PAL-Gals that are on those. That way, if anybody has a faulty cart or needs a PAL-Gal for any PGM cartridge, they'll all be dumped, all brute forced, and be available obviously on my website. I might upload them to I think it's called the PLD archive or something like that, where they do have a lot on there as well. So that's these guys. If you ever hear of brute force dumping for PALs and GALs, this is the little guys. There are probably more than these boards out there, These are the main one I found when I was searching for brute dumpers. But obviously people have probably made their own tools, and there's, there'd be more out there. These are not the only ones, but these are the ones that I found, and I'm getting more PCBs made, and they seem to be not necessarily the easiest to use, but definitely they will do their job, they work well, and they should help people as well. So that's it, guys. That's my introduction to pals and gals and brute forcing. If you have any questions, always hit me up on my Discord server, especially in the channel to do with them. If you're interested in the PCBs and would like a set, I don't want to ask. I'm not asking any money for the PCBs, but if you want to pay for postage of them, that would be really, really good. So anyway, guys, I'll catch you all later, and hopefully that will be another video soon. Thanks, guys.